Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing amazing. Today, we are going to talk about sleep support for our mothers, or parents, we can say. And yes, okay, Elaine is already here. So I am. We're waiting for Elaine to join in. She should be here shortly. And I'm going to introduce myself. Oh, Elaine is here. Hi, Elaine. Welcome.
Hi, how are
Yeah,
you?
good. Thank you. And thank you so much for being here and showing up for our community to, support around sleep health, especially for our mothers, right?
Not a problem at all.
Yeah, so lots of us are sleep deprived and, yeah, we are just functioning day to day, but not thriving, right?
Yes, surviving, not thriving is the
Yes,
common phrase
surviving,
we
not
use.
thriving. So I was just introducing myself. So my name is Angel Anjali, if people like to call me, and I'm a women's health movement coach for past 15 to 16 years, and I'm also a certified nutrition counselor and the founder of this platform. And now, would you like to introduce yourself, Elaine, or would you like me to read
I think you
your
could do it.
Yeah, I can do it. Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's do it. So Elaine has spent 24 years doing one thing, helping exhausted mothers reclaim their sleep, their sanity, and themselves. As the founder of Lullaby
Lovely.
SOS and an early parenting and sleep specialist trusted by more than 22,000 families worldwide, Elaine brings together her work, her background in maternity nursing, early childhood education, child development, and attachment to offer something the parenting world desperately needs: a gentle whole family approach that actually works. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. If you can hear us, please give us a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, you can start putting it in the comment section. So, yeah, I was reading Elaine's introduction. So, continuing with that, and Elaine knows that a mother's broken sleep is never just about the baby. It is about mental health, emotional load, identity, and the impossible standards modern motherhood demands. And she knows how to help practically, compassionately, and without ever asking a mother to go against her instincts. Through her signature program, Elaine helps families move from surviving early parenthood to feeling genuinely calm, confident, and connected, not just as parents, but as women. That is such a beautiful bio,
Oh, thank
Elaine, and
you.
because it really speaks to me, because you are not forcing parents to, how I have heard so many times that they forcing baby to sleep separate when they are screaming, crying, and the mother really hurting as well, right?
Yes.
And I love your approach that you're so compassionate around it and what works for the parents,
Yes. Yeah.
right? So that is really beautiful. Thank you so much for being such a compassionate coach, I should say. Well, coaches we used everywhere these days, maybe not coach.
I know, and that's it. It's like it's one of those things about are you a sleep consultant, are you a parenting coach, or what is it that you do? And I actually prefer being called, yeah, as sleep and parenting coach because like sleep consultancy has always got that stigma to it that hey, you're gonna put baby in the cot and tell
Mhm.
parent to ignore their instinct and ignore their baby, and
Yes.
that's not what we want for baby or for mum.
Yes, no, that is, I love that approach. Thank you so much. So, before we start, I would like everybody to know that this talk is all about to bring awareness and general information. And if you are seeking for support, please look out for professional help, or they can always reach out to you as well, Elaine. That's correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So would you like to say anything before we start the questions, or?
I'm really glad to come here, and I think it is such a vital topic. And when you put the little call out, I was like, yes! So I'm so glad, because it's, you know, it's definitely something that is in my space. It's that helping mums and families understand that sleep deprivation is not a badge of honor that you should be carrying as a mother. That
Yes.
you know, early parenting is tough, and we make it tougher for so many parents in so many different ways of, you know, the conflict. And it's so good to actually be having this conversation for mums and for carers of mothers and partners of mothers, to really kind of understand that, you know, it's not just I'm tired, it is bone deep exhaustion that is compounding, and that has an effect not only on mother or baby but the whole family.
Family,
And
yes.
when they get better quality of information, better support, that the whole family benefits from it. So awareness that, you know, it's not, you don't have to be as sleep deprived as you are, and benefiting all the families is what I'm here for.
Yes. Whoop, whoop. So if anyone has just joined us, we have amazing Elaine today, who supports mothers around sleep for and the babies, right? The parenting sleep specialist, I should say. All right, we are going to start with the first question. How does broken sleep impact a mother's mental and emotional well-being?
Well, basically, with broken sleep, at nighttime, our brain goes through a process of kind of like cleaning up all of the things that we've been processing throughout the day. And it's a very important thing that our body needs to do every day. But that brain, if it's not getting that good quality of sleep, or getting the couple of hours block of sleep, then our brain never completes those cycles. And what our brain is doing at nighttime, it's processing and consolidating information that we're learning every day. It's helping us with our emotional processing, our rational thinking, and all of those things get impaired when we have a bad night's sleep. Like, we all know when you've had a rough night's sleep, how, you know, you go to do something and you forget what you've gone into the kitchen for, or you feel like you're going around in brain fog today because you had a terrible night's sleep last night. But when we compound that on every day, and going on for over like 6 months or a year, that has a huge impact on your mental ability,
Yes.
your mental health, your physical health, your emotional capabilities. You get, you know, a lower tolerance a lot of the
Yes.
times for like things that you would have just breezed through during the day. Your anxiety can get a lot higher. Your ability to even just regulate your emotion, because your brain's not functioning properly. So you might end up feeling like you just burst into tears crying over cold coffee, or
Yeah.
you know, you're snapping at your partner for leaving his shoes at the kitchen door, or you just feeling like your brain's not functioning the way it's designed
Yeah.
to.
Not as strong, right?
Yeah,
You want
exactly.
to, yes, because you saw emotionally everything in every dimension. You are so, because you're so deprived from
So
sleep.
heightened. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as that anxiety kind of goes up, then you start judging yourself and beating yourself up and
Yes, no,
thinking,
I remember myself where I had pumped the milk for the baby, and I spilled it. I thought the baby was drinking, but I didn't close the lid properly, right? And the milk was going on the side instead of coming through the tip. I was like, oh my God, how can you be like this? And, like that. And I'm bawling my eyes out and I'm thinking my baby is going to be starving, hungry, you know. And
I, the phrase "don't cry over spilt milk" is coined by
yes,
somebody who's never
yeah,
had to
it
pump
was
it.
real. Yeah, that was a reality for me at that time. It
Yeah.
was, yeah. So, what are the biggest sleep challenges you see affecting mothers' well-being?
Um, the biggest challenge is obviously the nervous system dysregulation, and that feeling of exhaustion. But for most mothers, they're like the default parent at
Mhm.
nighttime. Okay, we say, "Dad, you got useless nipples. Hey, they're hungry. Go feed them." And I think one of the biggest things that happens, especially very early on, is that parents feel like, well, mum's got to feed baby, so dad can't do anything. So mum ends up going and doing the feeding and the settling. And I kind of always say that parents, like when you start out as a parent, both of you are at the start line
Mhm.
and you're both learning together. But
Yes.
very, very quickly, mum goes like this, and dad becomes the sub.
Mm.
And then they go further away. And it feels like then mum starts to feel like everything's on me, the mental load, the
Mm.
emotional load, the emotional to-do list, the keeping the house, keeping everybody sane and looking after everybody else but myself. And dad is back here going, hey, I want to help. We
Mm.
get these really supportive dads, and they're like, I want to help, but it's like
Don't know
she's
what to
so
do,
far
right?
away that
Yes.
I don't know how to help. And then there's this kind of cycle for mums and dads where they get kind of catchy at each other because it's like, you don't know what to do. I need to do it all myself. I'm frustrated because I need support. He's like, I don't know how to support you.
Mm.
So everything becomes like hypersensitive.
Yeah.
And obviously then we've got that whole who you were as a couple prior to being parent,
Mm.
and then the dynamic shifts and who you are as parents as well. Then that kind of comes into it, but it's every single aspect of the day, not just at nighttime, it's affected. And especially with their own like versions of themselves as well, like mothers, we have this expectation when we become a mother, this is what we're going to be like, and then all of a sudden it's completely like any kind of idea of what we were going to be is like pulled out from under you, and it's like, okay, this is what's actually going on, and
Mm.
there's no way of preparing for it. But also, we all expect that we're going to be awake at nighttime with our babies.
Yeah. Oh,
We
yes.
expect that as a newborn. But we don't expect, like, we're totally prepared. You're like, yes, I'm having a baby. Yes, we're going to have to get up and feed over nighttime. And we get that. And when our newborn is waking up 2-3 times over nighttime, you're like, yes, we
Mhm.
got this. When they get to 3 or 4 months and they're waking up maybe once, maybe twice overnight, you're like, yes, this is the trajectory that we're going on. And
Yeah.
then 6 months, they're waking up 4 or 5 times. 8 months, they're still waking up 4 or 5 times. You're like, I didn't
Yes.
sign up for this. I thought that it gets better, not worse. um,
Yes. Yeah. 10 years, 11 years old, and still waking up, right? I had a nightmares.
Yeah, and we definitely expect that we still have to parent at nighttime.
Yes.
But there is also that expectation that as babies grow, as their tummies grow, as they get into a routine, they start to extend out their sleep durations overnight time.
Yeah.
And um, that's what we expect. And then when we find ourselves at 9 months and 12 months and 3 years
Mm.
with a little one who's not sleeping, and then we're up in the middle of the night and we're doom scrolling and we're asking questions on mothers forums, and you're like trying to find that snippet of information that's going to be the magic bullet. um, but then you're being told, well, it's parenting, and my kid still sleeps in my bed, my kid still wakes up 7 times over night time, it's normal. And then you feel like, okay, am I just supposed to deal with it? Am I just supposed to accept that this is what the new normal is? But nobody, no human being on the planet is designed to suffer long-term broken sleep, because that has such an impact on everything. And there's a reason sleep deprivation is a form of torture. Let's be honest about it. But we're told that mums are supposed to just suck it up. And
And I wanted to go back, when you said the husband and wife, how we, not separate, but how it's so becomes hard for husbands to reach to their
yeah,
mothers. And at that time, like you support the parents. Like when that happens, the parents, you support the parents to communicate.
I support both parents to understand that the only thing a dad cannot do is breastfeed their child.
Yes.
Every single aspect of their baby's life can be shared equally.
Yes.
And one of the things that I see happening is when that happens with the parents, like, dads want to be involved parents. They want that.
I bet, yes, I
Yeah.
bet. It would be so hurtful, right? When we just going and then they want to be part of it, but we are not letting them, or we think that we should be doing this by ourselves because that is how what we're supposed to do, right?
It's often like, yes, mothers will often think that, and I think society tells mothers that they are supposed to be doing it all. But we also fall into the trap of the path of least resistance becoming the path of most resistance. So often in the middle of the night, we might be thinking that, yes, we know we should be trying to encourage them to maybe go longer overnight time without a feed, or maybe we should try resettling over feeding. But I'm so tired that the quickest way to get my baby back to sleep is to feed them back to sleep. So then we do that, and then we get into that cycle. And then so
Oh.
dads find it harder to support mum in there. Mum's saying, I'm tired, and dad's like, well, I'll try to resettle tonight. But baby, we've been telling baby for however long it is that this is how you go to sleep. So when dad tries to resettle, then baby's like, what are you doing? I don't know what you're doing. This is not what we do. So then mum comes in, mum feeds back to sleep, and then dad feels like he's failed because he wasn't able to get baby to sleep. Mum feels the burden that it's all on me. And it's, babies learn what we teach, and what we do most often becomes most familiar. So if a baby is learning that the way that I fall asleep is on the breast, or on a football, bouncing on a football, or in the car, or on the pram, that's what they do. Babies are they're born ready to learn.
Yes.
And they learn through repetitive behaviors.
Yes. Is it even, I was just, just curious, even this side of the book, which one they prefer,
Yeah, I got a
right?
preference for the left boob over the right boob, or you're going to
So
hold
what
me
is bigger
upright instead of in the cradle position. And
yeah,
that all happens from around that 8-week mark. So,
yeah,
I always say babies, when they're born, they're learning
yeah,
everything. They can suck and they can cry. Beyond that, everything's a learned skill. When we teach our baby how to breastfeed, it takes practice and repetition, right? When we teach a baby how to fall asleep on the boob, that takes practice and repetition. But when we teach a baby even how to fall asleep on a football, that takes
yeah,
practice and repetition. My big thing for parents is saying, start with the right cues from the beginning, and then you don't have to fix the problem later on. If you build the right routine foundations, practice not perfection,
yes,
from early, then you don't end up at 6 months questioning whether or not you need to
yes.
sleep train your baby.
And we don't even know, I guess, if I put myself into new parent, I didn't even know, to be honest, I didn't know what to do. And I come from Nepal. So, we, we saw the babies sleep with mothers on their boobs all the time.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that is how it is.
That's the
And
way
that
it is.
is, yeah. And the babies are always quiet and, but then, yeah, when I came the other side, and it's not that. So, and we never slept back home. The mothers and the baby, they never sleep separate.
Hmm.
And when I came on this side of the world, and the babies are sleeping separate, and then I was forcing myself to sleep separate from the baby, and I wasn't happy, and all this kind of things was very confusing, as well as, but I didn't know who to look out for,
Yeah.
if there is any, even there is help out there. But yeah, now we know we have a support out there. We just have to look out for it.
Yeah, and it is. I think that's the probably one of the hardest things in modern parenting. Like the reality is, if you have a house and a mortgage, most parents can't survive off one wage. Most parents today don't have grandma and auntie
Yes.
and neighborhood support. Most moms do have to go back to work. We also have like 2 or 3 children, and all of those things are compounding factors. And then we are told, oh, in Nepal, or attachment parenting approaches, saying like co-sleeping and feeding to sleep and all of these things. And if that works for you, brilliant. If you have the capacity to do that, brilliant. Like, you do you. But what I love to try and teach parents is that, again, babies learn what you teach. What you do most often becomes most consistent. Babies love repetition, and they learn through repetitive behaviors.
Yes.
If you start building routine foundations from the beginning, then they just learn, hey, this is what mommy does when I'm feeding. This is what mommy or daddy do at bedtime. This is what they do when they're feeding me over nighttime. This is what they do when we're, and they get that flow. So they don't feel anxious about anything. It's like, if a baby never, if a person never ate a donut, would they miss a donut? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas, and that, so my background, when I first started out back when I was 20 years old, I used to do postnatal care of mother and baby. So I would do, and lots of parents will appreciate this, I used to do 24 hours a day, 6 days a week care of mother and baby for the first 12 weeks of baby's life.
Wow.
So I would literally come in when mom came home from hospital, and we would build the routine foundations. I would support mum in, starting to get a bit of a flow to their routine, helping baby separate the difference between night and day, create good feed behaviors, habits, and associations, create little bedtime rituals. And essentially, when I finished working with that parent, when the baby was 12 weeks old, mum was calmer, more confident, more rested. The baby was on a pretty good routine, both during the day and at nighttime. They were feeding well during the day. They were settling well during the day. They were linking sleep cycles. They were sleeping through the night with one, at maximum 2 feeds if there were smaller feeders. But they had like the real like bones of a good routine that continued to develop and grow as they got older. I will say, hand on my heart, I feel like I was more of an attached parent to my child than most of the parents who say they're practicing attachment parenting. but I never fed to sleep or co-slept.
Yes.
And the difference is I was able to read and respond to my child's cues calmer, clearer, and more confidently and more consistently because I had those routine foundations for her. So I knew what was wrong with her when she was upset. A lot of the time I see parents who are practicing attachment parenting, the boobs become the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
For everything. They're tired, they're bored, they're hungry.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, how you said Swiss. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but then what happens is if they are tired, they cue hungry. If I am in pain, I cue hungry. If I am overwhelmed, I cue hungry. So then the communication between mum and baby gets confusing because
every cue is hungry towards
because every time I fall asleep, I go on the boob.
Yes.
So then I get into this cycle of cat napping and snack feeding and snack feeding and cat napping, and my emotional regulator is this.
Yes.
And we talk about Dunstan's baby language. It's where when a baby is really young, they have a particular sound that they make for different things, like I'm in pain or I'm hungry or I'm tired. And young babies, it's really easy to hear those sounds. But if you respond to those sounds with the same thing all of the time, then what happens is the sound becomes
the same thing. Yes. The whole time. Okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna get fed. So for them, whatever cues they're giving, and we're always attaching them with the boob, right?
Yeah. So whatever cue they're doing, we're responding in the same way. So therefore, then the cues get mixed up. Your response is the same thing all the time. So then, sometimes you put them on the boob and they're like, "I'm full. I don't want to feed. I'm actually tired." So now I'm like yelling and I'm crying, and then parents are walking around and bouncing and go, "I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't know how to settle them," but eventually they might fall asleep. And then parents get stressed. But the other thing is that when a baby, like babies are born, their circadian rhythm is not regulated. From around 8 to 12 weeks, they start to recognize associational behaviors. So they start to show you the preference from the boobs or the way you hold them. At 4 months, people call it the 4-month sleep regression. It's a developmental progression where their circadian rhythm and their sleep cycles become more mature and more consistent. Okay, so at that point, that's where they learn how I go to sleep is how I expect to link a sleep cycle. If I fall asleep, when I fell asleep at the beginning of the night, I was here and I was sucking on the boob, and then mum holds me and then transfers me asleep. They hit 10 o'clock and it's like they go through a checklist. I check in. Am I safe? Am I where I was when I fell asleep? Am I cold? Am I wet? Am I hungry? Do I need anything? And then a baby who has learned self-soothing or learned that their bed is their bed, then they will go and go through that REM sleep cycle totally fine. A baby who has fallen asleep on a boob will go, am I safe? This isn't where I fell asleep. Wah! And then we go,
my boob is not there.
Yeah. Well, imagine if you fell asleep in your bed and you woke up on the floor. Are you going to go, yeah, no worries, I'll go to sleep? Or, you're going to get up, you're going to get back in bed. Imagine if night after night, every time you fell asleep in your bed, you woke up on the floor. You're going to start waking up more often, checking, am I on the floor? You're going to start feeling a little bit more anxious going to sleep because am I going to wake up on the floor? So then you start to pull yourself out of the sleep more often. You start to feel more anxious. You start to fight and resist going to sleep. And then the cycle continues.
Yes. I'm nodding a lot because I had no idea the babies would have different cues for everything. I think if all the mothers knows this, would have an idea that how to read those cues, it would make so much difference.
And even if you don't understand them or know them, if you start building routine foundations from the beginning, you and baby learn together. And then you start to be able to read and meet your child's cues more consistently.
Yeah. So, for example, I have no idea, right? And the baby is crying, and if I feed the baby, so it will, if it, if the baby push it away, that means the baby is not hungry. So if from the beginning, if we start, if we start learning those cues together with the baby, and it becomes okay. So, right. And that is when you play a part as well. If we are really struggling, if we can, okay.
And it, like everything in my Nurture Beginnings program, I base it off 5 routine foundations, and I can use 5 routine foundations with a newborn and an 80-year-old and everything in between. Okay, but it's tweaked for each of those different age groups. So I work with newborns up to the age of 5. But I help parents to understand how to kind of start creating a routine flow that works for them, how to create positive feeding habits that support your baby's nutrition and development, support your milk supply, support your bond and your connection with your little one, how to understand awake windows, tired cues, and connect the two, how to create lovely transitions for your little one that help them to know what's coming next, and how to support really good quality sleep more often. And it's all about creating like a routine flow, not strict schedules, so that everybody is feeling more confident in what's happening in their days.
Yeah. From the baby to the both parents as well, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's amazing. I think the time is not enough, Elaine. It's like
I know we did. We got through. I think 2 of our 7 questions, didn't we?
And I think, and we have to make another one for this topic because I just got so curious. I had no idea of so many things, and we have so many things to unpack. But before we stop our live, I think we should do this. That what is one piece of advice you would offer to our new mothers?
One piece of advice that I would offer: definitely, babies are born ready to learn. Okay, start as you mean to grow and start building gentle routine foundations as soon as you're feeling up to it. Understanding that having a routine flow gives you confidence in being able to parent your child, not follow methods. And basically, I would also say just trying to read your baby, not Instagram reels.
Yeah, or Google.
Yeah.
Yes. No, there are so many. Sometimes we read all these things, material to support ourselves and the baby, but at the same time, we are all different, and those can be guidelines, but not the rigid. Yes.
That's exactly right. I definitely say, with my 5 routine foundations, I say like these are like fundamental things that we all need. Okay. But then everybody has their own nuances. But having those 5 routine foundations gives you a really good foundation to build your individual on top of that.
Yeah. Suitable for your family. Right? For your baby.
Yeah. It's honestly, it is about, when you are more confident in your responses and your routine and your flow, then everything else just kind of builds on top of it very naturally. And I find that when parents are calmer, clearer, and more confident, then they are thriving, not surviving. And
Mm.
one of the biggest reasons I started Lullababy SOS is because I absolutely love the first 5 years. I think there is so much joy in parenting and in watching a child develop
Yes.
that I really feel strongly for parents who are not enjoying it because they're missing out,
Mm.
and it's so simple to help you shift that balance.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. So we all need to. It is possible to be having a thriving life when the babies are little, right? We
Yeah.
don't have to follow the trend where sleep while you can.
Look, there's such a, and this is one of the questions we're going to talk about that whole like shift as you become a mother and a family, and that whole, going from a woman to a mother, and the shift, the mental shift, and the emotional development shift that we have there. Like there's always going to be challenges there. We got infancy, teenage, matrescence, and
Yeah.
then we got menopause, and they're like major shifts in everything in our lives. But
Yes.
so there's always going to be challenges, but if we can get better sleep, it's going to make those challenges a bit
Oh,
easier.
yeah, 100%. All right. If anyone who is watching right now or a bit later, if you have any question, please put it on the comment section below. And Elaine is more than happy to reply to your questions. And while we wait, if you have any question, please put it down there. And Elaine, where can people find you? Your amazing
So
service.
obviously on Instagram is probably where you'd find me easiest. My
Yes.
website, you will find all the information there. So I offer a range of different, there's so many blogs on my website as well. I would definitely recommend parents read the blog on that I talk about on feeding to full but not to sleep overnight time. It's if every parent was told to start separating feeding and sleeping from about 8 weeks of age at night time, we wouldn't have a sleep consultancy industry. So it's a good blog to have a look at. But you can reach out to me through Instagram or through the website. Yeah, I'd love to connect.
Yeah, amazing. So I'll put your website details in the content as well. And yeah, thank you so much, Elaine, for being here. And it is an honor to have eye-opening conversation that babies gives you clues all the time, but we have no idea. So
We're
now we
already
know
on
not
the
to use our boob as a Swiss knife army. That was
road.
a that was an analogy. Yeah, it made me chuckle a little bit. Yeah, thank you so much, Elaine. And we would love to, have a chat again in future soon. Thank you. Have an amazing
Awesome.
day.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Take it
everybody, for
easy.
being here. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.